Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Just going to give everyone a second to log in. All right, we have a really nice crowd. We have about 12 people in person, about 10 people online. Some folks waving. Thanks for coming, everyone. That's your dad. I'm Shane Prada. I'm the director here at the Baltimore Jewelry Center. I'm just going to give a quick intro of Addie and then turn it over to them to get started. So Addie joins us from Providence, Rhode Island. Addie graduated with a BFA in jewelry and metalsmithing from the Rhode Island School of Design in 2020 and has lived in Providence since graduating. Addie grew up in Manhattan, in Chelsea, the child of two artists. While they grew up surrounded by art and artistic practices, it wasn't until high school that they began focusing more seriously on making art, and particularly on drawing. Addie began their studies at RISD in the sculpture department, but they were quickly drawn to jewelry. When I asked Addie on their first day in the studio how they would describe their artwork, they said, "I make objects that relate to my body, and maybe your body, and other bodies. The objects I make are in conversation with the body, whether through seeing, touching, holding, wearing, or projecting." I was immediately smitten with this. This is me now again talking. I was immediately smitten with this idea of approaching the making of small wearable objects from outside of the frame of traditional jewelry. Indeed, over the month that Addie has spent with us, they consistently approach their making in a slightly askance way, forming intuitively and exploring with complex enameling on non-traditional forms. It has been a delight to have Addie at the BJC, and we're really going to miss them when they depart next week. Without further ado, I'll turn things over to Addie so they can tell you about what they've been making.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Shane. Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Addie. Yeah, I just want to start by also saying thank you so much to the BJC for this month. It was really awesome being here. I just felt super supported, and yeah, a great month overall. Yeah, so to start, I'm gonna read this quote from an interview with the artist Gordon Hall. Like bodies, objects make requests to us about how they want to be viewed socially. And when you are really there with someone or something, you view it or them within their own parameters, their own logic. This can be really powerful, objects that teach us how to see, even if this revision only lasts a few minutes. So I'm going to start with kind of talking about the parameters that I'm existing and working within, and some of the things I've been thinking about, and then show a couple images of my past work, and then just to give some context, and then I'll show what I did here this month. So I'm searching for objects who seem like they know how to function, who are straightforward and legible, who can tell me what to do and how to do it, and tell me that it'll work and it'll be okay. I'm looking to lean on what is near for any semblance of real support, real answers, real advice. Like diagrams and instructions, or mass-produced families of objects like hardware and kitchenware and the systems that they inhabit, all whose capital P pure, capital P purposes are to help, combine, ease, support, and transition. I want to learn from them, and I need what they have, so I'm looking closely. But when I look closer, and closer, I see that this so-called objective use, this standardized legibility with that capital P pure, capital P purpose, is defective nonsense. And what blooms out is the beauty of disobedience, of mockery, of performance. And instead, they're teaching me how to pretend, how to pass, how to lie, how to harmonize. And so, yeah, here are a couple of slides of past work. I've been interested in exploring drawing on forms that I've fabricated, inscribing images onto a surface as like a performative kind of legibility, like sort of storytelling or story hinting. This is another piece I made a while ago, but I'm still thinking about. Some rings I made. And so with all this in mind, I came here to explore enamel and its ability to mimic a standardized or industrial finish. And then bringing in cloisonné to build imagery of like diagrammatic signals or evidence or internal possibilities. And this is a bubble blower, 2 bubble blowers.
What do you make?
Yeah. The grandfather and the son. They're 2 breath toys, images of strangulated inhales, hollow bones, multiple forms of guidance. And then there are signals to hardware, images of support. A copper pipe divider is analogous to the 3-handed 2-person emergency lift. And this piece is an amalgamation of an outlet cover, a drain spout, and a pipe cap, and images of disoriented grappling, measuring, trying to understand where it's going, where it'll end up, and how much of it there will be. Yeah, and then these are some formed pieces that I used liquid enamel with. Elliot showed me. I'd never used liquid enamel before, so that was cool. They're just kind of like this right now, but I hope to do some cloisonné or drawing on them later on. And then, yeah, I'm kind of ending with these. The pieces on the left are the like models that I initially arrived with, kind of like where I started with this like disorienting imagery, kind of like documenting proof or directions about how it's going to work. And then on the right is a piece that I started towards the end of my time here that I'm hoping to finish at some point, a decisive strainer. Yeah, and then I have some like process photos that I didn't know if anyone wanted to see.
Yes.
But okay, cool. Let's see if they show up. Yeah, this was the outlet. I had some major trouble with enameling at first. For some reason, there was like a mysterious problem happening. That's happening on the upper right-hand corner. But yeah, I figured it out.
Sad.
I know. It really went through a lot.
And the angle of it. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry, melted.
Yeah.
And then that was the cloisonné once it worked out. Wet packing, cottage cheese. And that was the bubble blowing. I don't know what else I have. Oh, and then, yeah. Just, I think that's it. Yeah. That was fast.
But now we can go look at the work.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions right now before we move into the hallway?
Back.
From the slides or from some other language? Yeah.
So I see a lot of like imagery of like systems in your work and like systems of connection. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like what I was babbling about in the beginning, like thinking about or seeing like tangible systems like plumbing or electrical systems, or like our own body systems, seeing this like fixed order, like there's like a purpose to what's happening. Everything like has a purpose going on, and there's like an order to which things go, and everything that's there like makes sense and is supposed to be there. And I'm kind of like just striving for that or like I don't know, leaning on it a little bit to like feel safe. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think of work as like more of instructions for something or answers to questions?
I think it's getting lost.
Addie,
in-
I'm going to repeat the question.
Oh.
Magdalena asked if you think more of your work as instructions for something or answers to questions.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think that was your question. It's a good question. Yeah, I think I get lost. It's like maybe this is kind of a cheap answer, but it feels like getting lost in trying to write instructions and also follow instructions and trying to find answers, but it's just like cyclical. Like there's no answer. And it's just like more instructions, or like more systems. Like you follow it and it's just like, you still don't understand.
How do you feel in general toward instruction manuals?
I like them. Yeah, I like them.
Not everyone does. Like most
Well,
people
yeah.
are them.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we move into the hallway to view the work more closely? Okay, there will be more opportunities for questions, but we will.
Cool. Thanks.
Are you seeing Addie's screen or? Yeah, I'm gonna follow you really close now. Make you super uncomfortable. Dude, maybe we can go look at the. Can you guys see me? James Boyd is. Can we ask more questions?
Oh my God.
Absolutely. Just maybe have. We're gonna have Addie. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We're gonna have Addie talk about the work in the hallway a little bit first, and then have questions after. Does that sound good?
Sure. I mean, I feel like I already talked about
Okay.
this piece, but I could, you know.
I'm gonna. Okay. So, you're good. Okay. Amazing drawing.
Yeah.
I like just really want to like plug something in. Have you tried?
I actually haven't yet. I really stupidly tried to put it over that outlet cover, and it was like, oh, it doesn't fit. And I was like, yeah, because there's a cover on it. So I haven't yet, but I was gonna try to. I don't know if the hole's big enough though for a plug. Maybe a small plug. I also have been needing to blow bubbles out of the bubble.
We need to do that for Bailey.
Yes.
Like a video of it.
Yeah.
Someone also says they love the juxtaposition of bodily and electric systems and the bubble maker. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I hear bodily and electrical systems, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
How do you envision the body interacting with your work?
Yeah.
Can people hear that online? Do you know? Should
Sorry,
No.
such a small voice.
No.
okay.
Do you want me to repeat it? Or do you want to repeat it?
Oh, okay, I can repeat it. How do you envision the body interacting with your work?
Yeah. Thanks for repeating. Yeah, I think mostly like because these pieces, I mean, yeah, I've been like feeling tricky about these pieces because they're really like precious feeling because of the cloisonne and yeah, just like the nature of that material just feels very precious. And unusable. So I'm kind of like, I don't know, having a hard time with that because I'm not sure yet. I feel like they are a little bit like these symbols almost like still untouchable a little bit. So maybe that'll change, but that's how it feels right now. Which I don't know how I feel about.
Would you say that's different to the non-enamel pieces, the non-clothing pieces from your past?
I think so, yeah, because in the past it's like I feel like their objects are a little more like approachable, and more like, oh, I can pick this up and like play with it and tumble it around and I don't know, attach it to my belt loop or whatever. And these like, I don't know, like I'm scared to touch them.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Did that surprise you, or did you expect that?
That did surprise me. I mean, yeah, I knew that enamel was going to be super fragile, but the like preciousness of it kind of surprised me, and like just the way it looks, like it's almost. Maybe I was saying this to you, Jen. Like it feels like a little religious. Like
We were talking about that, and I know for me, like the bubble one in particular, like I really want to play with it, but I'm also afraid to touch it. And there's that like that longing and desire of like I want to play with it, but I'm afraid that something will happen and then Addie will get mad at me.
Is this the first time you've worked with enamel?
No, but it's the first time like this extensively, yeah. Because in the past I was just kind of like experimenting and not doing like big pieces like this. So yeah, it's definitely like exciting.
Do you think you're going to continue working with Cloisonne and this type of precious enamel?
I would love to. Yeah, I think I'm struggling with the preciousness, but I also, it's just like so beautiful and I don't know, but I am curious like to figure out other ways of like drawing on objects and in more like industrial what's the word, procedures, techniques. So yeah, I don't know, I would love to continue though with some pieces because it's also just I really enjoy doing it.
I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question, but like I'm seeing, so you have a lot of forming in your work, and which is like very like handwork heavy, but a lot of your work is evocative of like mass produced like industrial forms. Is there there's something
like, what
here.
the hell? Yeah.
It's like maybe this is just a comment, but it's like very fascinating to see that like how you're recreating this obviously like stamped strainer with like forming techniques, and you're like chasing and representing like that form. I'm just like, I don't know where my question is in that, but
yeah, no,
you go ahead. Any response?
I like that comment. I think a lot of the time it's like me, like, yeah, kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, like the learning from these forms, like the conglomerates, like kind of combining all these like different aspects and like signals that I see from all these like recognizable, useful objects like hardware, domestic ware, and just like wanting to understand it and wanting to like understand how, I mean, which is weird though, because like I'm doing this like not the way this was made. So I'm like fully, it's just like all me, like no really machine, which feels like intimate and like I'm learning something.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm really enjoying this thread, and especially, you know, thinking about what you put forward at the beginning, Addie, about the body and then what we're learning, like what there is to learn kind of about the limits and where the body belongs. And there is almost a way of like coming into these objects and feeling perhaps in a different world than them, or I don't know, I'm imagining, this is not, I'm just imagining this like coming into almost a different species and being like, well, I can do this too, it'll be in a different way, and then learning about the particularity of one's own body through doing that. Anyway, I'm just really loving this.
Yeah. I would like you to talk a little bit about your forming technique for that piece.
The spout.
Yes, the spout. Yeah, especially because, we talked about, Jen and you and Jen, we talked about, because it's just a very different approach to making that.
Yeah.
Let me just show. This is the piece we're talking about, right?
You want me to talk about
Well, okay, let me say this. So when we were like sitting down to talk when that piece first got formed and we sat down, I was like, wait, how did you make this? Because often what people would do, let's imagine it without the spout. They would make, and maybe without even that sort of accoutrements on the side, but they would make a base plate and then they would make like a sidewall. And that's not what Addie did. Addie did a very like intuitive forming process that's not a standard forming process. Is that right, Jen? You can talk more about that than me.
It is, I wouldn't say it's not standard. I mean, the idea of like cutting and making a cutout and then forming the cutout is, it's sort of something that if I were teaching forming, it would not be like early stage. It's sort of you're beginning to take forming to a different level. Yeah. And it is very intuitive. It was, can I say like, I was blown away seeing that piece, that you had not really had a formal background in forming, because I assumed that you had. And that you have a great like intuitive kind of way of forming, and it's good.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. It's been great to talk to you about some of that stuff, because
I brought forming boxes.
Yeah, it kind of didn't occur to me that I could have built a wall.
Which it would have been a very different object, right?
It's funny, it's like,
Yeah. But for someone that had been taught or trained forming, like building a wall, fabricating it would not necessarily be easier. Like, it's just not how we're usually taught to think as jewelers, to like cut and then stretch. Like, yeah.
It's also so smart because you enameled on it, so like.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no sense.
Yeah.
And then this piece, so interesting. I think both you and I couldn't quite find words to describe like this little lip or this little bead, but it was just very enticing. So recreating that with chasing and reposé is just really compelling. You got much further on that project than you thought.
Yeah, and like the function of that bead is to make this like flimsy piece of aluminum like really strong, and it's just like beautiful. So that's, I'm just was drawn to that aspect, so that was like the initial like why I wanted to kind of recreate it. Just that like simple like metamorphosis of the material, just like changing its function like completely.
I'm just gonna full of questions. Loud and proud, Margo. This piece here, like, something I love about it is the like iteration. Oh my god. Like the iteration of the spout, like over the spout and drawing form. Does this like, what does this object do? Like, because it's telling me a lot of things. Do you have like do you have a name for this, or like a specific? Do you have like an imagined function for it?
I was calling it the spoutlet for a little bit. Feels a little silly, but maybe that like counteracts the preciousness of it. It's like spoutlet TM. But no, I don't think it has like an actual place. Maybe I mean that kind of goes back to the preciousness of it. But yeah, it feels like kind of one of those like conglomerates that just is a little lost still, despite like inscribed with possibilities. It's still kind of like passive.
Are you pretty cool with that?
Yeah, that's kind of
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Feels a little more realistic to me.
Adding the images of the work that you shared in your presentation, and even just like looking at some of the images from your undergrad presentation, there's often like collections of things. Do you think about your work in collections in that way, or are we seeing just like the culmination of a lot?
I feel like it's all one big collection, like everything. There's no kind of discerning. I mean, maybe these because of like the material. If when I go back home in my studio, like if I lay them down, they might stick out a little bit, but I think in general, everything's kind of climbing on each other and like fighting for attention or like hiding. So yeah, I think it's all.
It's funny because it's really, Jim's question really leads into what I've been wondering, but do you collect anything?
Yeah. A lot of yeah, I mean, yeah, it's all kind of, I guess, in the same like they're all kind of speaking a similar language or like in the same family. Like I'm drawn to certain things, but yeah, I have a big collection of just like trash and found stuff and yeah, stuff people find and give to me. Yeah. A lot of like hardware and like plumbing adjacent stuff, more specifically.
Is there anything about like when someone brings something to you, what makes you say like, yes, I keep? Is there any kind of like shared element to what you collect? About an aesthetic thing, about an experience.
I guess it all works. I don't know. Yeah. I guess inherent, yeah, just by my eye, it's all related in some way. Usually pretty like round. But I've been trying to get into some hard edges. Yeah.
I always forget the name of the residency that's in the Bay Area that is like a residency at a trash dump.
Oh, yeah.
Consider that
Oh, I can find it and send it to you. It's yeah.
That's cool.
I think bipolar residency.
Oh,
Like, I was
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
maybe in 20 years.
Yeah, seriously. There was a residency that I think it actually closed down because of COVID, but it was at in Massachusetts somewhere in a museum of plumbing. And it was like really small.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think they do it. I have to look.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Recology.
Yes, yeah.
Sounds cool, yeah.
Any other questions? Were there any questions on the?
Let's see. Last time I checked, no.
Addie, I think we
Nope.
remembered before.
What?
We remembered it before.
I didn't.
It said we were recording when it finally let me in.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Thank you guys so
Oops.
much.
finger in front of the camera for a second. Whoops.
Yeah, thanks for talking.
Thanks
Thank
for,
you.
yeah, thanks
I
you.
asked you lots of questions. Yeah, you did a great job. And Addie helped out in the studio so much. It's part of our residency that residents help in the studio. They were a very big help. We have our annual symposium this weekend. So there was a lot to do for that. So we're very grateful. Thank you all for coming out. And I can't leave without plugging donating to the BJC. Tomorrow is the end of our summer fundraiser and is close to reaching our goal of raising $25,000, which will then be matched for a total of $50,000. And all those funds support everything we do, including our really robust residency program, which we only want to grow. So support us if you can, apply if you want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for coming, and we hope to see you soon. You can still register for our online symposium on Saturday. It's 12 to 3 Eastern Standard Time, and there's going to be 4 really great presentations. So check that out. Great, thanks everyone.
Can I ask a question?
Oh yeah.
That's my dad.
Oh.
Yeah.
In the process photographs that you were showing, what's the what stage is the cottage cheese stage, and why does it look like that?
Yeah, that's the process called wet packing, which is after I've laid down all the cloisonné wires and they're set into the piece. I'm mixing the enamel powder with a little bit of water, so it's like a paste, and then like packing it into the spaces with the walls. And yeah, it looks like cottage cheese. I mean, it doesn't always look like cottage cheese, but
And then it all melts and flattens. Is that?
yeah.
And what was the failure problem on the upper right? Where it was kind of bubbly looking and thin. What happened?
Yeah, I don't really know what happened. And a lot of people here, Jen and Elliot and Andy, they're all trying to figure out what happened. So I don't really know. It happened like 3 times, and getting enamel off, as probably a lot of you know, is really tricky or just like slow. So I don't know what was happening, Dad.
Ask like only God can.
And then what was the picture of the piece it looked like it was embedded in some big jelly blob thing.
Oh, God. That's this. That's that's represent in pitch. That jelly stuff is pitch, but it's actually really hard.
It's not like jelly.
It's not like jelly. You heat it up with like a heat gun, and then it turns all soft, and it's a way to like hold the piece in. Right. Yeah.
And that's just hammering, basically? Or
Yeah. Like with a little tool, and then you're holding the tool and hammering.
It's an ancient process. It's
Yeah.
very hard.
Yeah, armor is made like that.
right.
Working from both sides of the piece.
Cool.
Cool.
Anything else?
right.
Thanks. Thanks, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Let's look at all the treasure, all the amazing preciousness.